A single mother working night shifts at a grocery store found a wallet stuffed with cash on her way home. What she did next changed not only her life, but dozens of others. Welcome to Stories from Family. Before we start, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. We'd love to know. Now, settle in and get ready for a story that will restore your faith in humanity. 11 p.m. on a Thursday night. Rachel Torres pushed through the glass doors of Savamart, her body aching from another 10-hour shift. The fluorescent lights inside had given her a headache that pulsed behind her eyes. She adjusted the strap of her worn canvas bag and started the familiar walk to the bus stop 3 blocks away. At 32, Rachel looked older. Life had a way of doing that. Dark circles under her eyes, hands rough from handling produce and pushing carts, shoulders permanently hunched from years of lifting boxes. But her eyes still held warmth, even after everything. The streets were quiet at this hour. Most shops had closed. A few cars passed by, their headlights cutting through the darkness. Rachel walked quickly, hands shoved in her jacket pockets against the October chill. She had 40 minutes before the last bus, then another 30-minute ride home to her apartment where her son waited. Tommy was 9 years old, small for his age, with his father's dark hair and her brown eyes. Smart as a whip, his teacher said, but struggling. The other kids picked on him because his clothes came from thrift stores, because he brought the same peanut butter sandwich every day, because his shoes had duct tape holding the soles together. Rachel's chest tightened thinking about it. She'd tried so hard. After Tommy's father left when the boy was 2, she'd done everything she could. Worked double shifts when possible, cut every corner, denied herself everything. But it was never enough. Rent, food, electricity, the basics alone ate up her entire paycheck. There was nothing left for the extras, the things that might help Tommy fit in, feel normal. She was halfway to the bus stop when she saw it. A leather wallet lying on the sidewalk, partially hidden by a crumpled coffee cup. Rachel almost walked past it, but something made her stop. She bent down and picked it up. Heavy. That was her first thought. The wallet was thick, expensive-looking brown leather with brass corners. She glanced around. The street was empty. She opened it. Her breath caught. Cash. Lots of it. Crisp $100 bills stacked neatly in the billfold. She rifled through them quickly, her hands shaking. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. She stopped counting at $2,000. Rachel's heart hammered. $2,000. That was more than she made in a month. That was Tommy's school clothes for a year. That was fixing the heater before winter hit hard. That was the security deposit for a better apartment in a better neighborhood with a better school. She looked around again, feeling like a criminal even though she'd done nothing wrong. No one was there. No one was searching frantically. No one was even walking on this street. Inside the wallet, she found credit cards. A driver's license. The photo showed a man in his 50s, well-groomed, expensive haircut. Richard Blackwell, the license read. An address in Riverside Heights, the wealthy part of town where houses started at $1 million. Rich people, she thought. To them, $2,000 was probably pocket change. Something they wouldn't even miss. While for her, it was life-changing. Rachel stood there for a full minute, the wallet heavy in her hands, her mind racing. She thought about Tommy's face when she told him they couldn't afford the field trip to the Science Museum. About the notice from the landlord threatening eviction if she was late with rent one more time. About her mother's medication that she'd been rationing to make it last longer. Nobody would know. That thought crept in like smoke under a door. She could take the cash, toss the wallet in a dumpster. Mr. Blackwell would report it lost, cancel his cards, order new ones. Rich people had insurance for these things. He'd be fine. But even as she thought it, Rachel felt sick. She'd been raised better than that. Her mother, despite their poverty, had always said, "We may not have much, but we have our honesty. That's something nobody can take from us." Rachel closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and put the wallet in her bag. She'd return it. First thing tomorrow, she'd find this Richard Blackwell and give it back. It was the right thing to do, even if it hurt. The bus was nearly empty. Rachel sat in the back, the wallet burning a hole in her bag. She kept her hand on it, paranoid someone would somehow know, would try to take it. A teenage boy got on at the next stop, music leaking from his headphones. An elderly woman with a shopping cart. A man in a security guard uniform, eyes closed, head bobbing with exhaustion. People just trying to get by. People like her. She pulled out her phone. The screen was cracked, held together with clear tape. She typed Richard Blackwell Riverside Heights into the search bar. Several results came up. A LinkedIn profile, a company website, Blackwell Properties, CEO and founder, real estate. Of course, the man probably owned half the buildings in the city, including, she thought bitterly, probably the apartment complex where she lived, where the heat barely worked and the landlord ignored every complaint. Her stop came too quickly. Rachel got off, walked the 2 blocks to her building, climbed the 3 flights of stairs because the elevator was broken again. Mrs. Chen from 3B was in the hallway, arguing with her husband in Mandarin. The baby in 3C was crying. Someone was cooking something that smelled like burned oil and garlic. Home sweet home. Tommy was still awake, sitting at their rickety kitchen table doing homework. Their neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, was knitting on the couch, watching a telenovela with the volume low. "Mama!" Tommy jumped up, ran to her. Rachel hugged him tight, breathing in his little boy's smell of school soap and pencil shavings. "Thanks for watching him, Mrs. Rodriguez," Rachel said. The older woman waved her hand. "No problem, Mija. He's a good boy. We did the math together." After Mrs. Rodriguez left, Rachel made Tommy brush his teeth and get into bed. Their apartment was small, just 1 bedroom. Tommy had the bedroom. Rachel slept on the couch. "Mama," Tommy said as she tucked him in. "Justin's birthday party is next Saturday. At the arcade. Can I go?" Rachel's heart sank. Birthday parties meant presents. Presents meant money she didn't have. "We'll see, baby," she said, smoothing his hair back. The non-answer they both understood meant no. "It's okay," Tommy said quickly, his small face trying so hard to be brave. "I don't really like Justin anyway." That was a lie, and they both knew it. Rachel kissed his forehead, turned off the light, and left the room before he could see her tears. In the kitchen, she sat at the table and pulled out the wallet. $2,000. She spread the bills out, staring at them. This could solve so many problems. Tommy could go to the birthday party with a nice present. She could pay rent 2 months ahead. Fix the car that had been sitting broken in the parking lot for 6 weeks. But it wasn't hers. Rachel put the money back in the wallet, put the wallet in her bag, and lay down on the couch. She didn't sleep much that night. Rachel woke up with the sunrise, her back aching from the lumpy couch. She checked on Tommy, still sleeping peacefully, then got ready for work. Her shift didn't start until noon, which gave her time to do what she needed to do. She looked up the address for Blackwell Properties. Downtown, in one of those glass towers she'd walked past 100 times but never entered. Places like that weren't for people like her. At 9:30 a.m., she dropped Tommy at school. "Be good," she said, hugging him tight. "Always am," he grinned, missing his 2 front teeth. Rachel took 2 buses to get downtown. The wallet felt like it weighed 100 pounds in her bag. She kept checking it, making sure it was still there, that the money hadn't somehow disappeared. The Blackwell Properties building was on 5th Avenue, all gleaming glass and polished steel. Rachel stood outside for a moment, intimidated. Men and women in expensive suits hurried past her, talking on phones, carrying leather briefcases. She looked down at her worn jeans and faded jacket. She didn't belong here. But she pushed through the revolving door anyway. The lobby was enormous. Marble floors, a fountain in the center, abstract art on the walls. A security guard sat at a desk near the elevators. Rachel walked up to him, clutching her bag. "Can I help you?" He looked her up and down, his expression making it clear he thought she was lost. "I need to see Richard Blackwell," Rachel said, trying to sound confident. The guard raised an eyebrow. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but I have something that belongs to him. It's important. Mr. Blackwell doesn't see people without appointments. You can leave whatever it is with me." Rachel hesitated. $2,000 in cash? She wasn't leaving that with a stranger. "It's personal. I really need to give it to him directly." The guard sighed, picked up his phone. "What's your name?" "Rachel Torres." He spoke quietly into the phone, then hung up. "Someone from his office will be down in a minute. Wait over there." He pointed to a seating area with leather chairs that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Rachel sat, feeling out of place. She watched people come and go. Everyone looked so polished, so put together. She became very aware of her chipped nail polish, her scuffed shoes. 10 minutes later, a woman appeared. Mid-30s, blonde hair in a tight bun, designer suit, expression of barely concealed annoyance. "Ms. Torres?" Her voice was crisp, efficient. "I'm Jennifer, Mr. Blackwell's executive assistant. You have something for him." "Yes, I found his wallet." I wanted to return it. Jennifer's expression shifted slightly. I see. May I have it? I'll make sure he gets it. Rachel pulled the wallet from her bag, but didn't hand it over. I'd really like to give it to him personally. Is he available? Mr. Blackwell is extremely busy. He has back-to-back meetings all day. Jennifer held out her hand expectantly. Rachel felt her resolve weakening, but something made her hold firm. Maybe it was pride. Maybe she just wanted to see the look on his face when a poor grocery store clerk returned $2,000. Proof that not everyone could be bought. Please, Rachel said. Just 5 minutes. I promise I won't take much of his time. Jennifer studied her for a long moment. Then she sighed. Wait here. She disappeared back into the elevator. Rachel waited another 15 minutes, watching the security guard watch her. She was probably making him nervous, someone like her sitting in a place like this. Finally, Jennifer returned. Mr. Blackwell will see you. But he only has 5 minutes before his next meeting. They rode the elevator to the 23rd floor in silence. The hallway was lined with offices, people working at computers, talking on phones. Jennifer led her to a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Richard Blackwell was standing by the window, talking on his cell phone. He was taller than he looked in his license photo, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Rachel made in 6 months. He held up one finger, indicating he'd be a moment, and continued his conversation. Rachel stood awkwardly by the door. Jennifer had disappeared. She looked around the office. Expensive furniture, artwork, diplomas, and awards on the walls. A photo on the desk of Blackwell with a woman and 2 kids, all smiling, all looking like they'd stepped out of a magazine. Sorry about that, Blackwell said, ending his call. He turned to her, his expression neutral. Jennifer said you found my wallet? Yes, sir. Rachel pulled it from her bag and handed it to him. He took it, opened it, quickly checked inside. His eyebrows rose slightly. Everything's here. Even the cash. He looked at her with something like surprise. Where did you find it? On Maple Street, near the corner of 5th. Last night around 11. I was at a dinner meeting in that area. Must have fallen out of my pocket when I was getting into my car. He pulled out his money clip, peeled off $500 bills. Here. For your honesty. He held the money out to her. Rachel stared at it. $500. Tommy's birthday party, clothes, food, medicine for her mother. It was right there. Just take it. But she shook her head. I don't want a reward. I just wanted to return it. Blackwell frowned slightly. Most people would take the money. I'm not most people. He studied her more carefully now, really looking at her. No, he said slowly. I suppose you're not. What's your name? Rachel Torres. Well, Rachel Torres, I insist. You saved me considerable hassle. Please take it. Really, I can't. The words hurt to say. I just did what anyone should do. Blackwell put the money back in his wallet, still watching her with that curious expression. You said you found it at 11 at night? What were you doing out that late? Walking home from work. I work at Savamart. And you took time off to come all the way downtown to return this? Rachel nodded. She glanced at the clock on his desk. She needed to get to her shift soon. What do you do at Savamart? He asked. Stock shelves mostly. Sometimes cashier. How long have you worked there? Rachel wasn't sure why he was asking all these questions. For years. And before that, I was a receptionist at a dental office. But they downsized. She didn't mention it was because she'd had to miss too many days when Tommy was sick, that they'd replaced her with someone without a kid. Blackwell walked to his desk, sat down. Ms. Torres, can I ask you something? Why didn't you just keep the money? $2,000 would make a difference to someone working retail, I imagine. Rachel felt her cheeks heat. Because it's not mine. And I have a son. I need to set a good example. A son. How old? 9. And his father? Not in the picture. Blackwell nodded slowly. He seemed to be thinking about something. The silence stretched out. Rachel shifted her weight, uncomfortable. Well, she said finally. I should go. I have to get to work. Rachel, Blackwell said, and something in his tone made her pause. I own Blackwell Properties. Real estate development, property management. I'm always looking for good people. People with integrity. Would you be interested in a job? Rachel blinked. A job? I need someone for our front office. Receptionist position. Answering phones, scheduling appointments, basic administrative work. It's not glamorous, but it pays better than retail. Health benefits, too. Rachel's mind reeled. Was this really happening? I don't have much office experience. Just the dental office, and that was years ago. You can handle a phone and a computer? Yes. You showed up here on your own time to return something you could have easily kept. That tells me more about your character than any resume could. He pulled out a business card, wrote something on the back. This is my HR director, Patricia Chen. Call her this afternoon. Mention I sent you. She'll set up an interview. He held out the card. Rachel took it, her hand shaking slightly. Mr. Blackwell, I thank you. Thank you, Rachel, for reminding me that there are still honest people in the world. He stood, extended his hand. She shook it, his grip firm and warm. As she left the office, walking past Jennifer, who looked at her with open curiosity, riding the elevator back down, walking out into the bright morning sunshine, Rachel felt like she was in a dream. She looked at the card in her hand. Then she called Savamart and quit. That afternoon, Rachel called Patricia Chen. The interview was set for Monday morning. Rachel spent the weekend in a panic, borrowing a blazer from Mrs. Rodriguez, practicing answers to possible questions while Tommy did his homework. You're going to do great, Mama, Tommy said, giving her a thumbs up. Monday came. Rachel arrived at Blackwell Properties 30 minutes early, her palms sweating. The interview went better than she expected. Patricia was kind, professional, asked straightforward questions about her experience and availability. Mr. Blackwell speaks highly of you, Patricia said. That means a lot. When can you start? Whenever you need me. How about Wednesday? Just like that, Rachel had a new job. The pay was nearly double what she'd made at Savamart. Health insurance after 90 days. Paid time off. She floated out of the building, called her mother, called Mrs. Rodriguez, picked up Tommy from school early and took him for ice cream, something they hadn't done in months. Are we rich now? Tommy asked, chocolate smeared on his face. Rachel laughed, wiping his mouth with a napkin. No, baby. But we're going to be okay. The first week was overwhelming. Rachel sat at the front desk, answered phones, greeted visitors, scheduled meetings. There was so much to learn. The computer system, the filing protocols, the names of important clients. Jennifer, Mr. Blackwell's assistant, was cold and distant. She barely acknowledged Rachel's existence, speaking to her only when absolutely necessary, and then in short, clipped sentences. Some of the other employees were friendly. Eli from accounting always stopped to chat. Sandra from property management brought her coffee her second day. But others looked at her with suspicion, whispered when she walked by. She overheard two women talking in the break room on Thursday. I heard she literally walked in off the street and Blackwell hired her on the spot. Probably slept with him. You know how these things work. Rachel's face burned. She wanted to defend herself, but what could she say? The truth sounded too much like a fairy tale. She kept her head down and worked harder. Mr. Blackwell himself was rarely in the office that first week. When he was always in meetings, always rushed. He nodded at her once in passing, but didn't stop to talk. Rachel wondered if he regretted hiring her. Friday afternoon, everything fell apart. Rachel was supposed to schedule a meeting between Mr. Blackwell and a potential investor, a Mr. Harrison from California. The meeting was critical, according to Jennifer, who'd given her explicit instructions. Friday, 2 p.m., Conference Room B. Do not mess this up. Rachel put it in the calendar. Conference Room B, 2 p.m. Friday. Except she accidentally put it for the following Friday. At 1:55 p.m., Mr. Harrison showed up. Tall, silver-haired, clearly annoyed. I'm here for my meeting with Richard. Rachel looked at the calendar, felt her stomach drop. I'm so sorry, Mr. Harrison. There seems to be a scheduling error. Mr. Blackwell isn't available right now. He's at a site inspection across town. Mr. Harrison's face reddened. I flew in from San Diego for this meeting. Are you telling me there's been a mistake? I'm so sorry. If you could wait, I can try to reach him. I don't have time to wait. I have a flight back in 3 hours. He leaned over the desk, his voice cold. Tell Richard this is the second time his company has wasted my time. There won't be a third. He turned and walked out. Rachel sat frozen, her hands shaking. Jennifer appeared from nowhere, her expression triumphant. What did you just do? I made a mistake with the scheduling. I put it for next week instead of this week. Do you have any idea how important that meeting was? Mr. Harrison was going to invest $5 million in our new development project. Jennifer's voice was sharp, cutting. Mr. Blackwell is going to be furious. Other employees had gathered, watching. Rachel felt tears prick her eyes but refused to cry in front of them. I'll call Mr. Blackwell right now, Rachel said, reaching for the phone. Don't bother. I'll handle it. Jennifer pulled out her cell phone, walked away, speaking in low, urgent tones. Rachel sat at her desk, wanting to disappear. She'd been here less than a week, and already she'd blown it. Cost the company millions. Proven all the whispers right. She wasn't qualified for this job. She didn't belong here. 20 minutes later, Mr. Blackwell walked in. His face was grim. He didn't look at Rachel, just strode past her desk toward his office. Jennifer followed him, closing the door behind them. Rachel waited. The office felt silent, everyone pretending to work while obviously listening. After what felt like hours, but was probably 15 minutes, Jennifer emerged. Mr. Blackwell wants to see you. Rachel stood on shaky legs, walked to his office, knocked softly. Come in. She entered, closing the door behind her. Mr. Blackwell sat at his desk, his expression unreadable. Sit down, Rachel. She sat, her hands clasped in her lap to keep them from shaking. Jennifer told me what happened with Mr. Harrison. Mr. Blackwell, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake with the calendar. I don't know how it happened. I thought I put it in correctly, but I must have clicked the wrong date, and He held up a hand, stopping her. Rachel, breathe. She stopped talking, took a breath. Mistakes happen, he said quietly. Especially when you're new. I'm not going to fire you over a scheduling error. Relief flooded through her, so intense she felt dizzy. However, he continued, this was a significant mistake. Harrison is difficult to work with at the best of times. This might have cost us his investment. I know. I'm so sorry. If there's anything I can do to fix it. I already called him. Apologized personally. Offered to fly to San Diego to meet with him on his terms. He agreed, reluctantly. So the deal isn't dead. But it's damaged. Rachel nodded, feeling sick. I'm going to have Jennifer work with you this week on the scheduling system. Make sure you understand all the features, the reminder functions, how to double-check entries. Yes, sir. And Rachel? He looked at her directly, his expression softer. Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is how you handle them. You owned it immediately, didn't make excuses, offered to help fix it. That's what I need from my employees. Integrity and accountability. Thank you for giving me another chance. We all deserve second chances. He smiled slightly. Go home. It's Friday evening. Spend time with your son. Come back Monday ready to learn. The following weeks were intense. Jennifer worked with Rachel on the scheduling system, though her teaching style was cold and impatient. She explained things once, quickly, and expected Rachel to remember everything perfectly. I don't have time to repeat myself, Jennifer said whenever Rachel asked for clarification. Pay attention the first time. But Rachel was determined. She stayed late, practiced with the system when the office was empty, made detailed notes. She arrived early every morning, double-checked every entry, confirmed every appointment personally. Slowly, she got better. The other employees began to warm up to her. Eli invited her to lunch with some people from accounting. Sandra asked about Tommy, showed Rachel pictures of her own kids. You're doing great, Sandra said one afternoon. Don't let Jennifer get to you. She's like that with everyone. Why does she hate me so much? Rachel asked. Sandra lowered her voice. Between us? Jennifer thought she was going to be promoted to office manager. Then you showed up, and Mr. Blackwell has been talking about creating that position. She sees you as competition. Rachel was shocked. I'm not trying to compete with anyone. I'm just trying to do my job. I know, but Jennifer doesn't see it that way. That night, Rachel thought about it. Office manager. A position with even better pay, more responsibility. Could she actually do something like that? A month ago, she was stocking shelves at a grocery store. Now people were talking about her as potential management material. It seemed impossible. But then again, so had everything else that had happened. Things were getting better at home, too. Rachel could afford to buy Tommy new clothes, shoes without holes. She signed him up for the after-school science club he'd been wanting to join. Bought him the books he needed for his reading class instead of relying on the library's worn copies. Tommy bloomed. He came home excited about his projects, made new friends. His teacher called to say his grades had improved dramatically. Whatever you're doing at home, keep it up, Mrs. Patterson said. Tommy's a different kid this semester. Rachel knew what had changed. It wasn't just the material things, though those helped. It was that she wasn't constantly stressed, constantly worried. She could be present with Tommy, help with homework, listen to his stories. She wasn't too exhausted to be a mother anymore. By November, Rachel felt like she'd finally found her footing. She knew the office rhythms, the key players, the unwritten rules. Mr. Blackwell had complimented her work several times, mentioned in a staff meeting that client feedback about the front desk had been overwhelmingly positive. Jennifer's hostility had only increased. She found fault with everything Rachel did, criticized her in front of others, gave her contradictory instructions, then blamed her when things went wrong. One Tuesday, Jennifer told Rachel to order lunch for a client meeting. Get sandwiches from Morrison's Deli, Mr. Blackwell's favorite. Rachel called Morrison's, placed the order. When the delivery arrived and she brought it to the conference room, Mr. Blackwell looked puzzled. Rachel, I'm allergic to shellfish. These are shrimp sandwiches. Rachel's heart sank. She looked at the receipt. Sure enough, shrimp salad sandwiches. I'm so sorry. I'll order something else right away. After the meeting, Jennifer cornered her. I specifically told you no shellfish. Were you not listening? You said Morrison's Deli was his favorite. You didn't mention shellfish. I shouldn't have to spell out every detail. Use common sense. Rachel bit back a response. She couldn't prove what Jennifer had or hadn't said. It was her word against Jennifer's, and Jennifer had worked here for 8 years. But the incidents kept happening. Files Jennifer swore she'd given Rachel would go missing. Messages Jennifer claimed she'd passed along never reached their recipients. Small things, but they added up, made Rachel look careless or incompetent. She's sabotaging you, Eli said bluntly when Rachel confided in him during lunch. I've seen her do it before to people she feels threatened by. What should I do? Document everything. Every conversation, every instruction. Protect yourself. Rachel started keeping a notebook, writing down every interaction with Jennifer, every task assigned. It felt paranoid, but Eli was right. She needed to protect herself. The confrontation came in early December. Rachel arrived at work to find Jennifer in Mr. Blackwell's office. Through the glass wall, she could see them talking, Jennifer gesturing animatedly. Mr. Blackwell looked serious. When Jennifer emerged, her expression was smug. Mr. Blackwell wants to see you. Rachel's stomach churned as she walked in. Close the door, Mr. Blackwell said. She did, sat down. Jennifer brought some concerns to my attention. She says you've been making repeated errors, that she's had to correct your work constantly, that you've been insubordinate when she tries to help you. Rachel felt like she'd been slapped. That's not true. She showed me documentation. Emails she sent you with corrections. Notes about mistakes. Mr. Blackwell, I don't know what she showed you, but I've been doing my best. I've been documenting everything too. Rachel pulled out her notebook. Every task she's assigned, every conversation we've had. I can show you that many of those mistakes were caused by her giving me incomplete or contradictory information. Mr. Blackwell took the notebook, flipped through it. His expression was unreadable. This is a serious situation, he said finally. I have 2 employees with completely different versions of events. I know it's my word against hers, and she's been here much longer. But I promise you, I have never intentionally made a mistake or been insubordinate. I've worked hard every single day because I'm grateful for this opportunity. Mr. Blackwell was quiet for a long moment. I'm going to look into this further. In the meantime, I'm reassigning you temporarily. You'll work directly with Patricia in HR for the next 2 weeks while I investigate. It wasn't a firing, but it felt like a demotion. Rachel nodded, not trusting herself to speak. The next 2 weeks were strange. Rachel worked in HR, helping Patricia with filing, data entry, scheduling interviews. Patricia was kind, professional, didn't ask questions about the situation with Jennifer. But Rachel could feel people talking. Whispers in the break room fell silent when she entered. She was the office drama, the charity case who'd risen too fast and was now being knocked back down. Tommy noticed she was stressed. Are you okay, Mama? He asked one night. Just some work stuff, baby. Nothing for you to worry about. But she was worried. If Mr. Blackwell sided with Jennifer, she could lose this job. Go back to retail, back to barely scraping by. All because she'd been honest enough to return a wallet. On the Friday of her second week in HR, Patricia called her into her office. Mr. Blackwell wants to see you. Main conference room, 3 p.m. Rachel's hands shook as she walked to the conference room at the appointed time. Mr. Blackwell was there, along with Patricia. And Jennifer, looking confident and composed. Sit down, Rachel, Mr. Blackwell said. She sat, her heart pounding. I've spent the past 2 weeks investigating the claims made by both of you. I've reviewed emails, talked to other employees, looked at work product, examined the documentation you both provided. Rachel held her breath. Jennifer, you've been with this company for 8 years. You've been a valuable employee. But in my investigation, I discovered a pattern. This isn't the first time you've had conflicts with new employees. It's not even the second or third. Jennifer's confident expression wavered. I spoke with Eli in accounting, Sandra in property management, even our IT specialist. Multiple people confirmed that you have a history of undermining people you see as threats. The shrimp sandwich incident? I checked with Morrison's Deli. They don't even make shrimp sandwiches. You specifically ordered them from a different restaurant. Jennifer's face went pale. The missing files, the unreturned messages, the contradictory instructions. I found evidence of all of it. You've been systematically sabotaging Rachel's work. Mr. Blackwell, I can explain. I don't want to hear it. His voice was cold, harder than Rachel had ever heard it. You're fired, Jennifer. Effective immediately. Patricia will escort you to collect your things. You'll receive 2 weeks severance, which is more generous than you deserve. Jennifer stood, her face red, her eyes blazing with anger. She looked at Rachel with such hatred that Rachel instinctively drew back. This is because of her, Jennifer spat. You've been different since she showed up. You never would have fired me before. I'm firing you because you've been toxic to this workplace. Rachel's presence simply made it impossible to ignore anymore. Mr. Blackwell's tone was final. Patricia, please escort Jennifer out. Patricia stood, gestured to the door. Jennifer walked out, her back rigid. When they were gone, Mr. Blackwell turned to Rachel. I owe you an apology. I should have seen what was happening sooner. You couldn't have known. I should have. I hired you because I saw your integrity, your character. Then I let someone else convince me you weren't living up to that. I won't make that mistake again. Rachel felt tears prick her eyes. Thank you for believing me. Thank you for documenting everything, for standing up for yourself while still being professional. That's exactly the kind of employee I need. He paused. How would you feel about becoming office manager? It's a position I've been considering creating. More responsibility, significant raise, supervising the front office staff. But I need someone I can trust completely. Rachel stared at him. Office manager? Me. You've proven yourself over these past months. You learn quickly, work hard, treat people with respect. You made one mistake and owned it immediately. And when falsely accused, you defended yourself with evidence and professionalism. Those are the qualities I need in management. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Rachel smiled through her tears. Yes. Spring arrived, and Rachel barely recognized her life. As office manager, she oversaw 3 receptionists, coordinated all office operations, and handled special projects for Mr. Blackwell. The pay was more than she'd ever imagined earning. She and Tommy moved to a better apartment in a safer neighborhood. 2 bedrooms, working heat, a building with a playground where Tommy played with other kids. Tommy's school was better too. His grades soared. He'd made the honor roll for the first time. Look, Mama. He'd brought home the certificate, beaming with pride. Rachel hung it on the refrigerator, right next to the photo of her with Mr. Blackwell and the rest of the team at the company picnic. She'd come so far from that night she found the wallet. Sometimes it still didn't feel real. But something was bothering her. One evening, as she tucked Tommy into his own bed in his own room, he said, Mama, remember when we were poor? Rachel's chest tightened. We weren't poor, baby. We just didn't have much extra. I know, but I remember. And I remember you always helped Mrs. Rodriguez, even when we didn't have anything. You'd bring her groceries, help her with her bills. Mrs. Rodriguez helped us too. That's what neighbors do. Yeah, but... Tommy frowned, trying to find the words. Now we have more. Shouldn't we help more people? Out of the mouths of babes. Rachel kissed his forehead. You're absolutely right. We should. That weekend, Rachel went back to her old neighborhood. She donated clothes, toys, furniture to the community center. Gave Mrs. Rodriguez money for the new refrigerator she needed. Visited the Savamart where she used to work and left gift cards for her former co-workers. But it didn't feel like enough. Monday morning, Rachel arrived early as usual. Mr. Blackwell was already in his office, which was rare. She knocked on his door. Got a minute? She asked. For you always. Come in. She sat down, gathering her thoughts. I've been thinking about something. When I was struggling, working at Savamart, I knew so many people in the same situation. Single parents, people working 2 jobs, still barely making ends meet. One emergency away from losing everything. Mr. Blackwell nodded, listening. I got incredibly lucky. You gave me a chance because I returned your wallet. But what about everyone else? The people who are just as honest, just as hardworking, who never get that chance. What are you thinking? What if we created a program, through Blackwell Properties, a job training and placement program for low-income individuals? Teach them office skills, computer literacy, professional development. Then help them find jobs, either here or with other companies. Rachel pulled out a folder. She'd been working on this all weekend. I put together some research. There are successful models in other cities. The costs are manageable, especially if we partner with local nonprofits for the training component. And the benefits, both social and business-wise, are significant. Mr. Blackwell took the folder, flipped through it. His expression was thoughtful. This is impressive, Rachel. Thorough research, realistic budget projections, measurable outcomes. I know it's ambitious, but I keep thinking, if someone had given me training and support before I found your wallet, maybe I wouldn't have been in such a desperate situation. Maybe I could have provided better for Tommy sooner. You did provide for Tommy. You worked hard, sacrificed for him. I know, but it shouldn't be that hard just to survive. And I got lucky with you. Not everyone gets lucky. Mr. Blackwell closed the folder. You're right. They don't. And I've been thinking about this too, actually. How to make a real difference, not just write checks to charities, but create systemic change. He stood, walked to his window overlooking the city. My father was a construction worker. Worked himself to death, literally. Heart attack at 52. Never made more than minimum wage. I built this company from nothing, told myself I'd never forget where I came from. But somewhere along the way, I did forget. Started surrounding myself with people who'd always had money, lost touch with what it's really like to struggle. He turned back to her. Then you walked into my office, refused a $500 reward because you needed to set a good example for your son. You reminded me what real integrity looks like, what real values are. Rachel felt tears prick her eyes. Let's do this program, Mr. Blackwell said. But let's do it right. Not just a small pilot. Let's make it big enough to actually matter. I'll allocate $1 million to start. We'll hire staff, create a real training center, partner with businesses across the city for job placement. $1 million? Rachel's voice came out as a whisper. It's an investment. In people, in the community, in the kind of world I want to exist. And I want you to run it. Me. You understand the struggle. You know what people need because you've been there. You have the organizational skills, the compassion, the drive. You're perfect for this. Rachel stood, walked to the window next to him. They looked out over the city together. I don't know if I can do this, she said honestly. Neither did I when I started this company. But you learn. You grow. And you have people who believe in you. She looked at him. Really looked at him. This man who could have just given her a reward and forgotten about her. Instead, he'd given her a chance. Defended her when she was accused. Promoted her. And now this. Okay, she said. Let's change some lives. The next 6 months were a whirlwind. Rachel worked with Patricia to hire staff for the new program. They found a building, a former community center that Blackwell Properties renovated. Created curriculum for office skills, computer training, interview preparation, financial literacy. They partnered with local nonprofits, community organizations, schools. Word spread quickly. Applications poured in. The first class started in September. 20 people, all from low-income backgrounds. Single mothers, former inmates trying to rebuild their lives, immigrants struggling with language barriers, young people who'd dropped out of high school. Rachel interviewed every applicant personally. Saw herself in their faces, their stories. The desperation, the hope, the determination. One woman, Maria, reminded her especially of herself. 35, 2 kids, working at a laundromat for minimum wage. I'm smart, Maria said during her interview, her voice breaking. I know I am. I just never had a chance to prove it. You'll have that chance here, Rachel promised. The program was intensive. 8 weeks of training, then 3 months of supported job placement. Rachel brought in professionals to teach. Mr. Blackwell himself came to give a talk on professional development. I was where you are, he told the class. Maybe not exactly the same circumstances, but I was someone no one believed in. Someone people overlooked. And I got lucky. Someone saw my potential. Now I'm here to see yours. Rachel watched her students transform. Confidence growing, skills developing, dreams reigniting. Tommy came to visit one day after school. Sat in the corner doing homework while Rachel taught a class on email etiquette. Afterward, one of the students, a young man named Jamal, approached her. "Your son, he's lucky to have you." "I'm lucky to have him," Rachel corrected. "No, I mean it. My mom worked 3 jobs when I was growing up. Never had time for school stuff, for homework help. She was too tired. I know she was doing it for me, but I needed her, you know? You're showing him it's possible to work and still be there. That matters." Rachel hugged Tommy a little tighter that night. Of the first 20 students, 18 completed the program. 16 found jobs within 3 months, most making significantly more than they had before. Maria became an office manager at a law firm. Jamal got hired as an IT support specialist. They came back to visit, to say thank you, to encourage the next class. Success bred success. Companies started calling, asking for referrals. The program expanded. 1 year after it launched, Rachel stood in front of the 2nd anniversary celebration. Over 100 people in attendance. Graduates, current students, supporters, local politicians. Mr. Blackwell stood next to her. "You should say something," he said. Rachel took the microphone, looked out at the crowd. 2 years ago, I was working at a grocery store, barely making ends meet, wondering how I'd pay for my son's needs. I found a wallet on the street with $2,000 in it. I could have kept it. Nobody would have known. But I returned it because it was the right thing to do." She paused, saw heads nodding. "The man who owned that wallet gave me a chance. A job. Not because I was qualified, but because he saw something in me. He saw past my circumstances to my character. And that one chance changed everything." She gestured to the room. "That's what this program does. It gives people chances. It looks past circumstances to see potential, character, determination. It says, you deserve better, and we're going to help you get there." Her voice grew stronger. "We've trained over 200 people now. Our job placement rate is 85%. But more than that, we've changed families. We've broken cycles of poverty. We've given people hope." She looked at Mr. Blackwell. "Thank you for believing in me, for teaching me that one person really can make a difference. And thank you all for being part of this." The applause was deafening. 3 years after finding that wallet, Rachel stood in front of a mirror, adjusting her jacket. Tommy, now 12 years old and almost as tall as her, straightened his tie. "You look nervous, Mama." "I am nervous. You're going to be great. You always are." Today was the grand opening of the 3rd training center, this one in the north side of the city. The program had grown beyond anything Rachel had imagined. 3 locations, over 500 graduates, partnerships with 50 companies. Mr. Blackwell had officially made her director of community development. She had a team of 15 people working under her. But she still interviewed every applicant personally, still taught classes, still remembered what it felt like to be on the other side. At the ceremony, the mayor spoke. Local business leaders spoke. Then it was Rachel's turn. She walked to the podium, looked out at the crowd. And there, in the 3rd row, she saw her. Jennifer. Rachel's first instinct was shock, then anger. But then she looked closer. Jennifer looked different. Thinner, tired, wearing clothes that had seen better days. Nothing like the polished, arrogant woman who'd made Rachel's life miserable. Their eyes met. Jennifer's face flushed, and she started to stand as if to leave. Rachel made a decision in that moment. "Before I give my prepared remarks," Rachel said into the microphone, "I want to tell you about someone who taught me an important lesson." Jennifer froze. 3 years ago, when I first started at Blackwell Properties, there was a woman who made my life very difficult. She sabotaged my work, spread rumors about me, tried to get me fired. She saw me as a threat, as someone who didn't belong. The crowd was silent, listening intently. For a long time, I was angry at her. I felt she'd been cruel and unfair. And she had been. But looking back, I understand something now. Hurt people hurt people. She was acting out of her own fear, her own insecurity, her own pain. Rachel looked directly at Jennifer. And I also realized that her actions, as painful as they were at the time, made me stronger. They taught me to document everything, to stand up for myself, to prove my worth through my work rather than my words. They taught me resilience. She paused. "If that woman is watching this, I want her to know something. I forgive you. Completely. And if you ever need help, if you ever need a chance, our door is open. Because everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves compassion. That's what this program is about." After the ceremony, as people mingled, Jennifer approached Rachel. Her eyes were red. "I don't deserve your kindness," Jennifer said quietly. "Maybe not. But I'm offering it anyway. Rachel gestured to the program brochures on the table. We have a class starting next month. Office management skills, technology training, career counseling. You'd be perfect for it. Why would you help me after what I did to you? Rachel thought about it. Because someone helped me when I needed it most. Because holding on to anger only hurts me. And because I believe people can change. Can you? Jennifer wiped her eyes. I'd like to try. Then try. That's all any of us can do. Jennifer completed the program. She was one of the hardest working students Rachel had ever seen. Eager to learn, humble, helpful to other students. The transformation was remarkable. Rachel helped her get a job as an administrative assistant at a nonprofit. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. Jennifer sent Rachel a thank you card. You didn't have to forgive me, she wrote. You certainly didn't have to help me. But you did both. You showed me what real strength looks like. What real grace looks like. I will spend the rest of my life trying to pay that forward. Thank you for seeing past my worst to believe I could be better. Rachel kept the card in her desk drawer, took it out sometimes when work got hard, when she questioned whether she was making a difference. Yes, she thought. This is why. One evening, Rachel was leaving the main training center late. She'd been working on grant applications, trying to secure funding to expand to 2 more cities. Her phone was dead, and she'd missed the last convenient bus. She started walking toward the next stop, several blocks away. It was dark, cold, starting to rain. A car pulled up beside her. A nice car, a newer model Mercedes. The window rolled down. Need a ride? Rachel looked in. A woman, maybe 40, well-dressed, kind face. Oh, thank you, but I don't want to trouble you. It's no trouble. Where are you heading? Rachel hesitated, then gave her address. That's on my way. Please get in. As they drove, the woman asked, working late? Yeah, I run a job training program. Lots of paperwork. What kind of program? Rachel explained, and the woman listened with genuine interest. That's incredible, the woman said when Rachel finished. The world needs more people like you. I just do what I can. Someone helped me once when I needed it. I'm paying it forward. The woman smiled. Funny you say that. I actually started volunteering at a homeless shelter because someone showed me unexpected kindness years ago. Changed my whole perspective on life. They talked the rest of the drive. When they arrived at Rachel's building, the woman handed her a business card. I work for the Sterling Foundation. We fund community programs. Email me your information. I'd love to discuss a grant. Rachel looked at the card, then at the woman. Why? Because people who do good work should be supported. And because I believe in paying it forward, just like you. Rachel got out of the car, watched it drive away. She looked at the card in her hand, then up at the rainy sky and laughed. Full circle. It always came full circle. That weekend, Tommy showed Rachel an essay he'd written for school. The assignment was to write about a personal hero. My hero is my mom, it began. 3 years ago, we were poor. We didn't have much money, and sometimes I knew my mom went to bed hungry, so I could eat. But she never complained. She worked hard and stayed kind even when things were bad. One night, my mom found a wallet with a lot of money in it. We really needed that money. But she returned it because it was the right thing to do. The man who owned the wallet gave her a job, and our lives got better. But my mom didn't just think about us. She started a program to help other people who were struggling like we were. She teaches them job skills and helps them find work. She's helped hundreds of people now. My mom always tells me that one small act of honesty changed our lives. But I think it's bigger than that. Her one act of honesty changed hundreds of lives. And those people will help other people, and those people will help more people. Like ripples in water. My mom taught me that doing the right thing matters, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. That being kind costs nothing but means everything. And that we all have the power to change someone's life. That's why she's my hero. Not because she's perfect, but because she tries to make the world better, one person at a time. Rachel read the essay through tears. Tommy hugged her. Did I get it right, Mama? You got it perfect, baby. 5 years after finding the wallet, Rachel received a call from Mr. Blackwell. Can you come to my office? There's someone I want you to meet. When she arrived, there was a young woman sitting in his office. Early 20s, nervous, clutching a resume. Rachel, this is Keisha. She just graduated from our program, top of her class. She's smart, hardworking, honest. Reminds me of someone I hired 5 years ago. Rachel smiled, understanding. Keisha, I'd like to offer you a position as my new executive assistant. Rachel is getting too busy with the training program to handle administrative duties for me anymore. I need someone I can trust. Someone with integrity. Keisha's eyes went wide. Really? But I don't have much experience. You're exactly what this company needs, Mr. Blackwell interrupted gently. Someone who understands what it means to work hard. Someone who values opportunities. Someone who will appreciate this chance and make the most of it. He looked at Rachel. Sound familiar? Rachel stepped forward, extended her hand to Keisha. Congratulations. You're going to do great. And if you ever need advice or support, I'm here. Keisha shook her hand, tears streaming down her face. Thank you. Thank you so much. You don't know what this means. Actually, Rachel said softly, I know exactly what it means. That night, Rachel and Tommy sat on their balcony, looking at the city lights. Their nice apartment, their secure life, all of it traced back to one decision on a dark street 5 years ago. Mama, Tommy said, do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd kept the money? Rachel thought about it. Sometimes. We would have had $2,000. It would have helped for a while. But then it would have been gone. And you wouldn't have met Mr. Blackwell. No, I wouldn't have. Wouldn't have gotten the job. Wouldn't have started the program. Wouldn't have helped all those people. So doing the right thing was actually the smart thing. Rachel pulled him close. You know what I learned, Tommy? Doing the right thing isn't always the smart thing, at least not in an obvious way. Sometimes doing the right thing costs you. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you get nothing in return. But you got everything in return. I got lucky. But even if I hadn't, even if Mr. Blackwell had just said thank you and I'd gone back to my job at Savamart, it still would have been the right choice. Why? Because who we are matters more than what we have. Because our character is the only thing we truly own. Because I needed to be able to look at myself in the mirror. And because I needed to be someone you could be proud of. Tommy was quiet for a moment. I am proud of you, Mama. Every single day. Rachel kissed the top of his head, feeling the weight and the lightness of 5 years of choices, consequences, and grace. I'm proud of you too, baby. And I'm grateful. For everything. For the struggles that made us stronger. For the help we received when we needed it. For the chance to help others. For all of it. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city breathe below them. Somewhere out there, someone was struggling the way Rachel once had. Somewhere, someone was making a choice between right and easy. Somewhere, someone needed a chance. And because of one wallet returned on a dark street 5 years ago, there was now a network of support waiting. A program that believed in second chances. A community that said, you matter. You deserve better. Let us help. One act of honesty. Hundreds of lives changed. The ripples spreading outward, touching people Rachel would never meet, creating changes she'd never see. That was the real miracle. Not that good was rewarded, though sometimes it was. But that good multiplied. That kindness echoed. That one person choosing to do the right thing could start a wave that never stopped. In the end, Rachel learned that integrity isn't about what you gain. It's about who you are when nobody's watching. It's about the person you see in the mirror. And it's about the example you set for those who come after you. She returned a wallet when she desperately needed money. That one honest choice didn't just change her life. It changed hundreds of lives. And those hundreds will change thousands more. We all face those moments. Those choices between right and easy, between character and convenience. What we choose in those moments doesn't just define us. It ripples out into the world in ways we can never fully measure. So the next time you face that choice, remember Rachel. Remember that doing the right thing might not always lead to a fairy tale ending. But it will always lead to something more important. The ability to live with yourself. To be proud of who you are. To be someone worth being. What will you choose? If this story touched you, if it made you think, hit that subscribe button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And in the comments, tell us, have you ever made a choice to do the right thing when it was hard? What happened? Your story might inspire someone else. We're all in this together, creating ripples of kindness in a world that desperately needs them. Thank you for listening. Until next time, keep choosing kindness. Keep choosing integrity. Keep being the change you want to see. Much love. See you soon.